Big Rab Show Podcast is kindly sponsored by G1 Reeds. They are the champion's choice, with many bands around the world playing G1 products, providing everything you'd need to hit the circle or the big stage. So, check out g1reeds.com as they keep the lights on here at the Big Rab Show Podcast. Hello there, and welcome to another Big Rab Show podcast. Well, here, forgive my croaky voice. I'm still recovering from the biggest weekend in piping, the World Championships. And of course, we're about to get into it in this week's World's Wrap-Up Pod. Now, this is possibly one of our most popular episodes. There's this one, and the one that went out last week that we're about to laugh about. The World Championship Prediction Podcast. Yeah, where we're going to get into the weeds to see just how did our predictions do. And anyway, we'll find that out in a minute or two. But first of all, let's get through our introductions then. First of all, if this is your first ever Big Rab Show podcast, then you are welcome. We are the show for the bagpiping folk. We reflect everything in the bagpiping world, be it Celtic music, folk music, or indeed our bread and butter, competitive piping and drumming. And each and every week we're here, blethering away about it. And don't forget, like every other podcast out there, we do have a Patreon, shameless plug. There's a link in your show notes right now where you can be treated to all sorts of juicy extras from the Pipe and Live Festival, from the Worlds itself, and maybe even some things that might hit the cutting room floor in our World's Reaction Pod. Not going to say anything about that. Anyway, but yeah, shout out to our Patreon faithful. You guys are awesome. Thank you all so much for supporting us. Right. As you might have guessed, this is a special episode this week, so we don't have any listener mail, we don't have any weekly drone, although, full disclosure, we have received, I think, between 10 or 15 weekly drones over the course of Pipe and Live Week, and it's been quite intense. So shout out to JD, who's been recording every single one of them, and they are sitting in my weekly drone inbox. I just haven't had a chance to read through them all yet, so yeah, we will be bringing those to a future show. If anything, we'll probably call it the Weekly Drone Show because it'll just be JD for the entire show. But keep them coming. You know, we are receiving them, and they will be in a future episode of the show. Go to their website, bigrabshow.com, big button at the top, Weekly Drone. Now, I'm sure there will be some Weekly Drones after this week's World's Wrap-Up. Yes, we're going to get into the weeds with all of it. We're going to talk about the venue, the food, the drink, the portaloos, all of it. And welcome back to our illustrious panel of Adrian Smighton. First of all, how you doing, Adrian? Are you well?
Good evening. Still tired.
Still tired? Yeah, I'm the same, mate. I'm still recovering. But we'll get into it. And yeah, we also have Stuart Campbell joining us as well. Stuart, how are you?
Very well, how are you?
The best, mate, the best. And how are you feeling after a crazy week?
I'm not bad. I'm just after my work and I'm having a big cup of tea right now.
Oh, there you go. A man after my own heart. Good stuff. And also, it's not a World's Wrap-Up without the Oracle. Welcome back to the Oracle, Scott Cunningham. Scott, how are you, man?
Oh, I'm like everybody else. I'm just getting back to normal life again, back to work.
There
just
you are.
Trying to get the season down.
Indeed.
Down.
So tell me this, did anybody tease you for being the Oracle, you know, on last week's show?
Believe it or not, no.
No.
Not yet.
Wow. Okay.
Not to my face, anyway.
Aye. Well, that could be part of it too. But yes, indeed. We do kind of tease you a little bit for your predictions are normally right. But we'll get into the predictions and the results and all that stuff later on in the show. First of all, I do want to talk about everything else aside from the competition itself. I want to ask you about your thoughts on accessibility. Yeah. We had a number of complaints and comments from folks who were at the World Championships this past weekend and, yeah, had quite a bit to say about the parking and accessibility arrangements, especially for those with disabilities. So I'm going to throw the door open. What was your folks' experience with parking and all of that? Maybe throw it to Adrian first. Any experiences?
Yeah, just heard from a couple of ones where the parking was and then how far they had to walk to get into the park again.
Yeah, like there wasn't any immediate parking at the site from what I could see. Yeah. And even for parking for coaches and stuff, like they were a brave bit away, but further away from what they were normally placed. Yeah. I think they'd moved them this year. But yeah, I don't know. Stuart, what about yourself? Any experiences with parking or accessibility?
And I normally get dropped off, but where I get dropped off, you can't get close to any of the entrances, so there's a bit of a hike to get to some of the entrances. Unfortunately, they should maybe look into a drop-off point.
Yeah, for taxis and the likes.
Yeah. Just just for the car to turn around and go. So you're a bit closer to the entrance, but yeah, it was a bit of a walk.
That was my experience also. I got an Uber from the city centre to the venue, and the taxi guy got really confused because every road he wanted to take was closed. And he's like, mate, I don't know where to drop you, but you've got a bit to go. And I say, here, just throw me here. I know where I'm at. And but for anyone else that didn't know where they were at, could have been confusing. You were kind of left in the middle of a housing estate in some cases, you know. But yeah, Scott, any experiences yourself then, mate, with parking or accessibility to the venue?
I was probably a bit tight at the World's Eye. You would usually taxi down like yourself out of the centre, but I had acquired like a wee trolley for my bass drum out of Blacks, so I just took the long dander down from the city centre. So on my side, lucky enough, no qualms that way with accessibility. But I know you have said yourselves, just different people had contacted you or said to you personally with parking and the length of time walking from they actually had to park into the actual green and stuff. So
yeah,
hopefully something they can take food for thought on.
Well, that's it. Yeah. Well, full disclosure, for the emails and stuff that we've got on this about accessibility is that they had pre-booked accessible parking because these people will be disabled and have mobility issues. And they found themselves in the parking area. They parked their vehicle and then found that they had quite a bit to trek even to get access to the venue, you know, to get to the nearest gate because everywhere else was fenced off. The security guys everywhere. That's another topic. But yeah, people with mobility issues still found themselves with quite a distance of ground to cover before they could get into the venue. So I don't know. Possibly that's something we could suggest to look at for next year's championships, the parking arrangements, accessibility for people. We're trying to make it as accessible as possible for everyone, and removing those barriers would certainly make it easier. There you are. Now, we're not starting on such quite a scathing criticism, but I feel this next topic will be one of an emotive one for a lot of us. Security. Where's my sound effects? Yeah. Security. Oh, my words. I don't know. I've already recorded a couple of on-the-ground recordings when I was there, and it seemed to be all I was talking about was security. The fellas in yellow coats really let their presence be felt at this one. We say this every year, but this year just seemed to be particularly difficult. Yeah. Stuart, I'm going to throw it to yourself first of all, man, about security at the venue. Had you any run-ins or experiences with them?
No, to be honest. On the Friday, myself and Chloe went and there was no issues. They kind of just waved us on. They never even looked in any bags. And obviously on the Saturday, I've got all my gear on, and again, it's a come on in. So it might have been whatever entrance you were at, or whatever set of, let's call them security guards. That you met. So the gate I went in, there was no issue for myself.
No hassle. Yeah, there is what they call the main gate, which kind of looks out over to the bridge and everything, and right next to the river there's that one, and then there's the other one that kind of backs onto the houses and the flats and everything that's there. I think that was kind of the two main entrances, I think. So which one were you coming in on, Stuart?
It's the one right next to the People's Palace.
Oh,
so
right.
I'm at the other end of the park.
I see. Right. So there's a third one then.
Yeah.
Okay. So they might have been a little bit more relaxed over there. You never know.
Yeah. Maybe it's the set of security guards that you've bumped into. I had no issues.
No, but here, that's encouraging. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know myself personally, I did have quite a confrontation with some of the security staff in my own particular entrance because, well, I think that was my own fault. I arrived before the gates were opening. I was there so early both mornings. It was me and the security guys all standing around looking at each other. And it was a bit of a strange one on the Friday morning in particular. A lot of the Grade 1 big guns were getting ready to play quite early in the morning. They wanted to load in, and get ready for the day because, you know, grade one's not a competition to sniff at. They wanted to be able to get settled. And, security staff really quite adamant that no one was getting into the park early. It was kind of not coming to blows, but I got pretty pushy, shovey kind of thing, you know? Anyway, that's maybe a topic for another time. If anyone does want to tell us that story, you know who I'm talking about, bigrabshow@gmail.com. And they did tell me, Rab, don't you give my name out in the pod or I'll kill you. So I won't. But there was a little bit of that, a little bit of argy-bargy, just not the best way to start the morning. And that was on the Friday. On the Saturday, however, if you were wearing a band uniform, I don't think anyone got hassled at all. I just whistled straight through and not even a bag check, just to say, oh, you're playing? On you go. And it was brilliant. Yeah, so I don't know. One thing I wanted to say about the security is that very heavy-handed seemed to be the number of the day, because I did see others who experienced really quite bad treatment by the security staff. One woman in particular, I don't know her name, but she had two kids in like a buggy, you know, she had twins. She had two little kiddies, and a security man asked her to take the kids out of the buggy so they could search behind them in case there was any drink hidden behind the children. Now, that to me is a little bit mad. You know, if you're going to smuggle bottles of Buckfast behind two children, that's pretty determined drinking right there. Because I was told that the security guy, she asked, what are you searching for? My children are in there. She says, I'm searching for anyone smuggling in drink. Okay, fair enough. Craziness. So the two kids had to stand there when the security man was like, you know, patting down their buggy, which was craziness. Anyway, that's my opinion, and I do have more thoughts on them, but I'm going to throw to Scott before I get too hot-tempered. Scott, what about you, mate? Have any experiences with the security staff?
Personally, no. The only other one I seen was the one, but I'm going to leave Adrian to speak about that. More personal to yourselves.
Yeah.
But I'm a bit like Stuart. I come through the main entrance beside the grade one bands both days.
Mm-hmm.
No problems at all. Again, even my wife was shocked last year. They went to extremes to search the baby's changing bag, something the same, searching for alcohol.
Yeah.
Contraband this year, wagged her in. She was like, they didn't even stop me this year. So,
Wow.
So that way, no, I can't complain. But a bit like yourself, from different people chatting to, even on the Saturday, they seem to either be very aggressive where their words are, people are very hands-on.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I heard from multiple people too, but obviously the RSPBA has no control of them. That's down to
not at all. That's what I want to put across here, that this is not the RSPBA doing this. And we have received a few emails about this saying, oh, the RSPBA need to sort it out. It's not really them that caused the issue. It's nothing to do with the association themselves. They run the competition. Yes, they give the bands their prizes. They provide the adjudicators in the arenas. They don't provide the security. So, that's something that possibly Glasgow Life would have to look at. You know, they are the facilitators of the competition. So all the stuff we're complaining about now, about accessibility, security, that all falls to Glasgow Life, not the RSPBA. Right, Adrian, I'm going to do my best to keep my gob shot on this one. I am really quite hot on this one, to be honest, and it's going to be a difficult topic for me to talk about, but we had quite a difficult run-in with security staff in our Grade 4B qualifying on the Saturday morning. Right, tell us the story, man. What happened?
Well, we were down beside the Arena 8 early on. We were second band on, so went down, started practicing alongside, and then before they started the competition, the stewards had asked us to move into final tuning, which was sort of in a wee yard behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just off the side of People's Palace there, yeah.
Yeah, you know, yourself was just a wee gate for the bands to go in and out through. Mm-hmm. So most of us had all headed into final tuning. And I think Jeff was just finishing off tuning Hugh's drum and Stefan's drum.
Yeah, so there was a couple of kids kept aside. Their drums were getting an extra tighten. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they wouldn't have been any more than a couple of minutes behind us.
No.
But whenever they get to the gate, security closes the gate and tells them they're not allowed in.
Yep.
And a few of the senior band members had come over then to explain, look, the rest of the band's in there and final tuning, they're on next. Mm-hmm. They need to be in with their band, and completely refused to let them in.
Yeah.
From what I believe now, a couple of stewards had actually come over and spoke to the guards. Mm-hmm. they were still not for letting them two boys in.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, our Cub's 11 years of age. And Stefan's, 16, 17. They're two minors.
Yeah.
And security kept them closed out from final tuning where his parents and all were.
Yeah. To be fair, I know we're trying to be cool and calm about this, but it was quite a scary situation at the time where there was two young kids that were separated from their group and they were left practically isolated. And the stewards at the arena seen this happen. And they came racing over to argue with the security staff to say, hey, these two young fellas are playing with that band, the other side of the fence. Let them through so they can be with their band. But they were not having any of it.
From what I can make, the only reason they were not allowing them in, all they could keep saying was protocol. That's all that they said about not letting them in. And
we're not sure what that protocol was. No idea.
I don't even think they knew what that protocol was.
No. I think
told them it was for officials only, but it was for officials only. Why are bonds then allowed in?
That was the thing. I think there was confusion at that point. There wasn't an allocated final tuning whenever we first arrived at the arena. Yeah. And then the stewards decided that's where it was. It was over that little fence and plunked the flag down.
Yeah.
Grade 4B final tuning. So bands were going to be using that space throughout the day, but because we were like maybe the first or second one through, the security staff obviously weren't notified at this point and had just said, nope, we're closing gate and no one coming through. It was such a random situation, but it resulted in our band and Tullylagan. Go on the lagging. We were separated from two of our young snare drummers who couldn't actually practice or kind of warm up with us in final tuning. And it was really quite a stressful situation. And then all of a sudden it was, right, you're on the line. And they weren't going to let the band back out of final tuning again, I believe. The two security guys were not going to open the gate for us and let us through to the arena. Now, that was an arguing match as well. And I think
now everybody can guess sort of what our mindset was at that stage.
Yes. We chose to kind of ignore the instruction of the yellow coats and just push on ahead. And push on ahead we did, because we were not going to miss our draw time, because we all know what happens when that happens. You get disqualified. And we were not going to travel all that way to get disqualified because of a couple of guys in yellow coats. Thankfully, we were able to hit the line and we had a pretty good run. We'll talk about the music and that later on. But that was an awful situation created solely by two security men.
Yeah, and this was our first Worlds.
Yeah.
I think nearly everybody, or a majority of us in our band, this was our first time at the Worlds. We're there to enjoy it, and it sort of just dampened it a wee bit that morning before we went on to play.
It did. It was kind of a horrible introduction to it all. And then the kids were sort of left with an impression going, is this what the Worlds is like?
Yeah.
We're like, no, this is completely unusual. This doesn't happen normally. So, just left a bitter taste in everyone's mouth that morning. But hey, there we go. So, security overall, I think, Scott, you said it best. There was occasions where they were brilliant and they just couldn't help you enough. They were very helpful. And then there was other times where they were physically restraining people and, being very hands-on. Just not great. So, I don't know. Glasgow Life, please have a look at your security arrangements. I'm going to leave it on this note for the security. I think the way that the security staff or the security company that's involved in the Worlds, the way they've been handling it for the last 5-10 years is that they look at this like a music festival. They look at it like a Glastonbury or a Tea in the Park or something like that. And they police it in the same way. But it's not a music festival. Well, technically it is, I understand. But it's a pipe band competition. It's a completely different clientele. You're not have people that are going to be there to get raging drunk and start throwing chairs at people. Pipe band folk very rarely do that. Fair enough, there might be the odd one that likes a Ribena or two in the beer tent. But, we're not going to start clodding chairs at each other when we're arguing about MSRs and tune selection, So maybe a different approach from the security staff. It's not a music festival. It's a pipe band competition. It's very different from other events. So that's maybe a consideration right there. All right, I'm sure we're going to get...
Common sense would maybe help there too.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. A bit of common sense and, I don't know, just a different approach I think is definitely needed there. Yeah. So email us in your complaints, bigrabshow@gmail.com. I'm sure we'll get a few of them. All right. Do you know what? At this point in the show, before I get into the rest of the actual venue talk, I'm going to take myself a little break at this point, and we'll be right back after this. Right, folks, I want to tell you about a brilliant new app called MusoLink. It's from Matt Fraser, the same guy behind the B-flat tuner. And it's all about helping you track your music practice smarter. You can record your sessions using AI, add notes, get reports, and keep yourself accountable. But what really makes it stand out is the social side. It's like Strava for pipers. You can follow your mates, give them kudos, leave comments, and stay motivated together. Loads of bands are already on board, including Scott's College, Hawthorne, and loads of others who are making big moves. So, if you're prepping for this year's World Championships or just want to get better, search for MusoLink on the App Store now. And once you're there, why not give the Big Rab Show a follow and we can push each other over the line. Do you wish piping could be fun again? Bagpipers around the world continue to struggle with their instrument, despite hours of hard work trying to get better. Bagpiping should be fulfilling. Your hard work should pay off, showing improvement and the freedom to express yourself musically. Or why do it? The Dojo University believe every piper should be able to free themselves from musical frustration, proven over more than a decade of successful teaching and accessible anywhere with an internet connection. The Dojo is unlike any other bagpipe learning experience in the world. Let the Dojo channel your enthusiasm into a fun and fulfilling program that will empower you with the knowledge to fall in love with piping all over again. So go to dojouniversity.com/Big Rab and take advantage of our 30-day free trial of Dojo Premium membership. Join the global community of students today and rediscover the fun of bagpiping. dojouniversity.com/Big Rab for a 30-day free trial. And we're back. And the topic that I'm going to lead out with now that we're back, is toilets. The Portaloo review. Now, I admit on the Friday I did visit a few of them, and they were grand. They weren't too bad on the Friday. On the Saturday, though, they were absolutely leaping. Oh, my word. I have never experienced a Portaloo crisis like it in my life. I don't know. Scott, I'm going to throw this one to you first of all then, mate. Portaloos. What was your experience of the toilet facilities at the Worlds?
Something similar. Friday, not too bad. Saturday, as I've said in many years here on here, I always try and stay to the left of the People's Palace, up kind of towards Arena 7 and 8, because there seems to be less footfall there, whereas most of the footfall seems to be around the main arenas, plus down near the drum majors.
Mm-hmm. It's the drum major ones I'm thinking about.
Quite a few people opening doors and wafting noses before they went in.
Don't. Yeah.
And I actually seen the cleaners up cleaning the ones up by the People's Palace and replacing toilet roll and putting more blue liquid and stuff in them. So I don't know what they were like at the other ones, but it makes me feel good going forward. Next year I'll keep sticking to my plan.
There you go. So follow the Oracle's advice. Go there if you do need to go and answer the call of nature. Yeah, I did visit those ones down by the drum majors. They were brutal. I don't know what was going on. It smelled like a farmyard. Ugh. Anyway, Adrian, what was your experience, mate, of the Portaloos at the Worlds?
Well, majority were clean. As I say, I think maybe the hot weather didn't help. Maybe the smell in some of them. Maybe that could have been a factor. Plenty of toilets about.
There was. Yeah, I didn't have to queue for too long. Yeah, that's one thing. But the maintenance of them. I'm glad you said, Scott, that they were maintained, but I didn't see any evidence of that at all.
It was just them ones at the People's Palace that seemed being maintained. I didn't see any of the other ones, to be fair.
Right. There you go. Stuart, go on. What's your thoughts, mate? What was your experience?
Well, like Adrian said, there was plenty of them. And on the Friday, Yeah, they were fine on the Saturday. Probably the heat, the weather. They weren't too pleasant.
No, they were ripe, I think, is the word I want to use. Yeah. Kind of brutal.
You could probably blame that on the heat.
There you go. Yeah.
But at times that was coming across at the end of the Drum Major arena too. You were standing at the end of the arena and there was a nice wee whiff coming across at times.
Oh, no. Oh, lovely. That's a good job we don't have smell-o-vision on podcasts. There we go. But yeah.
Was the smell of fear of the Drum Majors? You sure wasn't that?
There you go. Yeah. But it is a thing. I know as much as we joke about it, but they are very important, for folks to have that. And even for those with young kiddos as well, to have like changing facilities and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Scott, did you notice was there much facilities for changing of little Baz?
My wee girl's not too bad this year. She's up a bit and she's getting out of nappies and stuff, but I didn't really notice anything extras before. But as I had spoke to RSPBA years before, they'd explained, we tell Glasgow Life what we need. They tell us it's here. And then they apologised to me at that time. So it was probably something similar this year, unless somebody wants to email into yourself and let us know different. But I didn't personally see any change in facilities, just you probably would have been told the same.
No, that's
Put
it.
them in the disabled toilet or something. Or they should even try and go for I've seen it like Highland shows and the Balmoral show here at home where they even just get an empty porta cabin for parents just and a couple of tables in it just to like lay kids down and even go in and feed them and stuff.
Yeah. I have seen that at other events, and it does work well, yeah.
Because you could put that round the spire where they are porta cabins and that would tie that all off then.
It would, absolutely. So, but no, I didn't see any evidence of it myself. If anything, again, I'm not naming names, but I did see a couple that were changing kids underneath the trees there in the Drum Majors, because it was kind of quiet at that point. So they laid the Wayne down under the tree and done the necessary Formula One tire change kind of thing. So yeah, it's one of those things. It's an aspect that that every event needs to consider. That everyone will need to answer the call of nature at some point, and these things are important. My experience of the gents' urinals was quite unique because they did provide them, but some of them were really plush and they had actual porcelain, really nice urinals. The other ones, it was basically just a trough with a lot of holes in it, and you kind of had to stand back to back with people. And I don't know if I want to tell the story about my experience in the Portaloo, but I'll tell it anyway. This might reach the cutting room floor. But you know the way when you're in urinal, you're kind of, you're focusing on answering the call, right? And then someone comes in behind you, kind of shuffles up next to you, and you feel the guy right behind you. And he starts, and then he farted on me. Now, I don't know who this guy was, because all he said was, "Oop, sorry." I didn't know what to do. Okay. I just got out of there. That was horrible. So maybe the urinal design, maybe you might need to look at, but that was hilarious. I had a bit of a laugh to myself. I said, I'm going out here and my kilt will smell like fart. And it wasn't me. Anyway, so yeah, Portaloos, it's a thing. But yeah, maintenance of it as well. And certain areas could have been better, I guess. But hey, there we are. Portaloo review. Let's get on to one of my favourite topics then, food and drink. Now, the food at the World Championships on the Friday, we had pretty limited options, but that's been the case now for every Friday at the Worlds. So, also quite expensive as well. I think I paid 18 quid for a cheeseburger and a bottle of Iron Brew, and that was on the Friday. And I tell you, the cheeseburger wasn't much to write home about, to be honest. It was about a patty and a lump of cheese on it. I don't know, unless the cheese was really expensive. I don't know. But Scott, what was your experience then with food and drink then at the Worlds?
I didn't think it was too bad. I did notice a bit of price up in some stuff. So we always kind of bring a couple of our own bits too. But then on the Saturday, we had went for the salt and chili chicken trailer up near the Spire.
Yes, that did look good. Yeah.
So it was there last year, but it was in the Traders Village. They seem to have got a bigger trailer this year. And the price also went up too. Yes. Last year it was £10, this year it was $13, but it was still like a good portion. Like it wasn't. It was basically hotel prices for a festival as such.
Yeah, there you go. But the food there did seem to be tasty. There was a lot of people eating out of there.
It was very, very good, I have to say.
Sure. What about yourself, mate? What was your experience?
I'm with Scott there. I went with the salt and chili, the salt and chili chips. Again, it's the price that they put on it. But the food was good. And obviously on the Friday you've got the standard vendors, and on the Saturday you've got the trader village that's open with the more vendors. You can get fish and chips and stuff like that. I think it was about £12 or £13 for a fish and chips. Like a chip supper from them. A fish supper for them. Yeah.
That's all in all kind of reasonable. You kind of just had to shop about, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I think the guy who sold me the burger seen me coming. Yeah. Adrian, what about you, mate? What was your experience?
Well, again, we went with the that chicken because it was handy for us for way the gazebos and everything. Yeah. But I had been talking to someone earlier on in the day. They said they'd got a burger from one of the stands was £9. Right. And he said it definitely wasn't worth £9.
No, there you go. Yes, I don't know. It must have been the burgers then, all across. Yeah, I don't know. And that cheese must have been worth £9 then. Yeah, there you go.
Someone else said they got, it was a bottle of Fanta or a bottle of Coke or something. It was £3. But then there's another van there. I think actually they've done the contest here, and I think they were £1.50 for the same bottle.
Oh, I think that's Rachel's, I think you call it. Yeah. I did see them, actually. Yeah, so shout out to Rachel's. But yeah, there was a lot more choice on the Saturday, and you could shop around and possibly grab yourself a bargain. But we have heard reports about some vendors being told that they're not allowed to undercut other people in the park, and they had to rise their prices as a result. Now, I can neither confirm nor deny if that actually happens. But it did bring into question then the prices that are charged for these vendors for their pitch. Now, that's one thing that was explained to me at the Worlds, is that you would pay, for example, and I'm just going to throw a number out of the air here. I don't actually know the number, but say you paid £4,000 for your pitch, right? Well, that cost then has to get passed on to the customer, you would think. So you'd think to yourself, you'd have to sell £4,000 worth of burgers or sausage rolls or whatever it is to cover your costs. And then you have your staff to pay. You have your fuel, electricity, possibly you have public liability insurance and all that kind of stuff, even before you turn a profit. Now, so the expense for some of these vendors before they even open for business can be extortionate. And I don't know if that's something that Glasgow Life handle, or if it, again, the RSPBA has a part to play there. Have any of you heard any stories about the price of pitches at the competitions? No?
I haven't heard anything for this year, but I think, was it last year someone had said for a small gazebo or tent that it was something around maybe £2,000. I don't know if that's right or not, only just going with what I'd heard.
That was going around the ballpark of what I heard for last year, at the Trader Village. Yeah, that some of those smaller, little white tents you would see the kind of the manufacturers in and things. Yeah, it was in around that mark, £2,000, £4,000, something like that. So that's a serious amount of business you have to do to even break even, So I don't know why the pitches are so expensive. I would think that they'd be trying to encourage more vendors in, possibly keeping prices low, but I don't know. It's a difficult balance to strike that. I understand. So the food and drink options perhaps were more expensive as a result of how expensive the pitches were. So just wanted to put that out in the pod this week. That might have been the reason why my burger cost 18 quid. There you go. But I need to talk about the drink element as well. Did anybody visit the beer tent? No, I was nowhere near it, unfortunately. I was way too busy. Stuart, did you have a libation at all?
Yeah, I had one or two.
Yeah.
It was $6.50. I think it was $6.50 a pint.
Right, I see.
That's all we were drinking, so I don't know what the spirits were, how much the cost of the spirits and whatnot, but it was roughly about £6.50 for a pint.
And what was your thoughts on that? Is that expensive, just about right, or?
Yeah, just about right, to be honest. I'm sure in previous Worlds it's been way more expensive. I think they ran a token system at one point that you had to buy.
Remember that?
£10 or £20 worth of tokens, and when your tokens run out, that was you.
That was a disaster too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
People going up to the bar with like a tenner note and going, "No, you haven't got a token," and then the fighting. But I'm going to pay you this. No, you need to go to that wee hut there for the last to give you a wee round token thing.
Yeah.
I think I still have some tokens actually from that world. Crazy. But yeah, I've been told that prices at this year's beer tent were quite reasonable. Although us Northern Irish folk, we have larger measures than you do there in Scotland, so I got some complaints about that. Saying, if you're going to order a whiskey, you have to order a double, and it looks like a single. So, but that's not the beer tent's fault. Yeah. So the drink, before we leave the topic of drink, I have to talk about water. Now, we were told on the Friday you were not allowed to bring in any sealed containers at all. No water, no soft drinks, nothing. And that's it. If you did come to the park with a bottle of water, it'll get chucked. And apparently that did happen. Quite a number of people. A lot of their water and liquids all got confiscated because we were told that there will be a lot of water refill stations all around the whole park. And that if you brought a refillable bottle, you could fill it up everywhere. And there's tons of water all over the place. Nothing to worry about. I think in my experience, I found one water station in the entire park. Now, this could be quite happily stuff that Rab got wrong. I'd be quite happy if it is stuff that Rab got wrong, but I only found one. Adrian, what was your experience with water? Did you find any others?
Never seen one at all.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But then on the Friday, whenever I was going in, I was more or less the same time as you on the Friday morning going in. I hadn't realised that I had a bottle of water on the side of my rucksack.
Oh.
But never even stopped me or questioned it or anything. We had no problem getting into the park either the 2 days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I forgot that I had the bottle of water there, but there wasn't one stopped me or looked about it or anything. So
you managed to smuggle it in, though. You're a criminal. There you go.
Plain sight.
There you go. Scott, what about you, mate? Did you find any other water stations other than the one that I found?
I only found the one which looked like a pig trough up by the People's Palace.
That's the one.
Sorry, a pig trough on stands, but I was a bit like Adrian. I come in on the Friday with my backpack on and a full bottle of Coke on one side and Sprite in the other in plain view.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody said nothing. I was actually forgot myself and was waiting on them to say, dump them.
Yeah, here. Those need to go on the skip. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But no, I only seen the one compared to last year. There was like a top near the entrance as well.
Yeah.
But that was the only one I seen. The pig trough, was I called.
There you go. Yeah. Stuart, what about yourself, mate? Any hassle with liquids or finding a water station?
Yeah, that was the only one that I found as well. Just the one at the People's Palace.
Yeah. I think my experience of that one at the People's Palace, it was quite large, and Scott's quite right. It did just look like a pig trough with a running hose. And my experience was I was filling my water bottle, and someone come over because it was so hot. He stuck his head under the tap at the same time. So I'm next to him, filling my water bottle, and this guy's like squishing his head under this water thing. So that was hilarious. But yeah, fair play to him. He did manage to cool off after that, and he looked up and he said, "Oh, Big Rab." Yeah, that's me. So there you go. So yeah, I don't know, the water refill situation, they did advertise it as all over the park, but that was not what I experienced. I only seen one location for it, really. I would love it to be all over the park, though, and having ready access to it would have been really handy, but you had to walk right up to that part of the park to get it. So I don't know, Glasgow Life, if you're listening, there you go. All right, I want to talk a little bit about arena layout. This was a common complaint that we received in our listener mail, bigrabshow@gmail.com, was arena layout. And we were talking about it earlier, but where the grade 4B qualifying and final was way on the other side of People's Palace. Like, you wouldn't even know it was there if you weren't looking for it. So, Stuart, what was your experience with arena layout? What's your opinions?
Yeah, we were the same. Like in our grade, we were right up at the other side of the People's Palace. 7 and 8, I think it was Arena 7 and 8. Yeah, they were way out for the main arenas and the main event. You felt like you were just stuck on the side of the event, to be honest.
Yeah, it was like competing in a completely different park. Like, there was no crowd there. And then the ones that were there to support the bands that they knew were going to be playing. Very weird situation, then. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. Shared experience right there. Adrian, I'm sure you had the same experience as myself because we played in the same band. So
yeah, just small arenas right in there, so it was.
Yeah, that was pretty much crammed in.
Likes of the 4B final, I don't know why they kept it in Arena 8 whenever even Arena 7 was free. They were taking it down whenever they actually made that into final tuning then before the final. But they could have even used Arena 7 there for the 4B final whenever it wasn't in use.
There you go. Yeah, I was very out of the way. Yeah. Scott, any experiences yourself with arenas?
Just the same as yous, but I'd come to watch yous in the morning and the rest 7 and 8 was like, as Stuart says, away out the far side, just felt like a bit added off to the side. Then I was chatting to you and I was doing the video for yourself and he's explaining how one of the 4B qualifiers was there and then the other one was basically at the far end of the park near, I think it was down towards the arch.
That's right.
That direction.
Total opposite end. Yeah.
And then obviously the bands that were prepared for that, when they found out they'd qualified, then have to go with the full the other end of the park to go to the People's Palace. It's you maybe not play walking to the arena because you maybe blow your smoke out before you're ready.
There you go. Yeah, quite right. So, and also the Drum Major Arena this year, it's in the same location, but I did feel this year, Adrian, that it was larger. It just felt bigger.
It was definitely longer this year now.
I see.
Because usually the likes of Louise's grade would get 4.5 lengths. They had 3.5 lengths this year now. They took a length off.
Right, I see.
I think it was because it was so long.
Yeah. But there definitely seemed to be a much larger crowd at it this time round as well. Did you experience that yourself?
Yeah, it seemed to be a lot more about it. But then again, you have bonds with their gazebos and all sort of below and at the end of the arena there. So there's a lot of bonds ones about there and the same under the trees on the top side.
Yeah. There you go. I don't know. The placement of arenas does seem to be a little bit of darts at a dartboard kind of thing, and then once they've placed the arenas, then they need to figure out, where are we putting final tuning? Oh, we haven't figured that out. And then kind of, I don't know, try to figure it out on the day, I guess. So there seemed to be a lot of that. So I don't know how much planning goes into it. It's an interesting dynamic, that one. That's a huge space for them to use, but they just seem to really spread it out, You have arenas 1, 2, and 3, which are right in the middle of the action. And then everything else is scattered out there. And it's difficult at times when you're trying to get a bit of excitement for grade 3B, 3A, 4A. You know what I mean? But all these arenas are like, all right, you need to track this way for 20 minutes and then you'll go and find them. Yeah, it's very odd. So
Arena 7 and 8 that seem to be that far out. If I'm wrong, I mean, maybe last year, a couple of years before, one of them was where the fun fair was placed this year.
That's right,
which isn't just as far out. Like, it's still just kind of the edge of the palace, but you're close enough to the action. But maybe they put that ahead of the arenas when planning. But obviously, that's probably down to Glasgow Life too, or I'm not sure who has that decision. Or
no idea. Yeah, but that was going to be my next question. Then was that children's fun fair? I didn't really see a pile of people using it.
That how to stop using the wild.
Oh, yeah, because we've got a story about that, Adrian.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think overall, I didn't see an awful lot of families utilising that area at all. It seemed very quiet every time I walked past it. Yeah.
From what I hear, everything was a fiver.
Oh, right. It's all the games and rides.
It was £5, and then I heard ones doing the hookah duck, and obviously, traditionally, the hookah duck, a wee motor would push the ducks around, and they sat for a minute waiting on the ducks to go, and then they realised, the ducks don't move, you just hook a random duck.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's more just hook it and hope the best, but I heard that some of the prizes weren't too bad.
All right.
I think it was Adrian had said to me that there was actually, was it you had said to me there was World's Caps and stuff?
Yeah, someone had mentioned that there was World's Caps there.
Right.
That you could get and a few other bits and pieces like that, so.
That's quite good. I should have went and hooked the duck. Sounds brilliant. Yeah.
You can pay £20 for a cap, or possibly, if that's the way it was, hook a duck for £5 and get a cap.
There you go. Yeah. Although
there's your £15 for your food.
I know if I was to go in there with my kids, though, you're not talking a fiver. You're talking at least 20 quid. You go, I want to go again. And that'll be, you'll be able to clean fortune. You'll remortgage the house before you leave the park.
It's a very expensive day for families.
Oh, absolutely. So are we going to talk about our story with the Ferris wheel, Adrian?
Yeah.
We are. Yeah. As we were sort of heading to the band gazebo, I think, to get our pipes to play for the final, we were all sort of G'd up and yes. And then we heard this terrible crash and a squeal of someone, and it just like, wow. We're like, what the heck's going on? So we all spun round and we looked, and the gate of one of the wee pods in the Ferris wheel seemed to have swung open, and this woman had nearly fallen out of the thing. So, yeah, a big squeal out of her, and we thought, Jicker, she had fallen out, but no, she hadn't, thankfully. Just give her a bit of a fright, I think.
It swung open, and then I think it got caught, that it actually turned it upside down.
That's right, yeah.
And the gate come flying off.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's an older woman and probably her daughter were in that one.
Yeah.
I think they got knocked about a wee bit, but they got up and walked away from it anyway.
Yeah. Scary biscuits, though. I wouldn't fancy being in that as that happens. No. So I know the operators themselves, I think they shut it down after that. They brought them back down to earth and made sure they were okay. But I didn't see it turning after that again. There you go. Anyway, so whoever that operating company is, I'm sure their health and safety policies are all in place, and this was a one-off and all of that, so please don't come and sue us, but that's what we've seen. There we go. All right, so folks, I think at this point we've talked pretty much about every possible element at the World Championships apart from the actual music and the competition itself. We do have predictions in place. Some of them might be right and some of them not so much. We're about to get into all of it, so I think it's time for us to get a big cup of tea. It's time for the topic of the week.
Kingdom Thistle Pipe Band Supplies. For all your pipe band and marching band needs. Supplying everything from uniforms and instruments to custom-designed bass drum heads. They offer it all. Not forgetting their exclusive Kingdom Gilly Brogues and George Boots, crafted by bands for bands. Kingdom Thistle provides expert product advice and an industry-leading drum refurbishment service to keep your equipment in top-class condition. Also, shipping worldwide. So, stop by their store in Fife or visit them online at kingdomthistle.com for all your pipe band and marching needs. Ready to take your playing to the next level? Say hello to the ES Session Chanter, the ultimate practice chanter designed for versatility and durability. Crafted from stainless steel and aluminium, the chanter comes equipped for both an A stem and a B flat stem, giving you the freedom to play along with any instrument, anytime, anywhere. Whether at a band practice or a trad session, the ES Session Chanter keeps pace with your creativity. Included with the chanter is the custom carbon carry case, the perfect addition to this compact and tactile instrument. To get yours, head to essessionchanter.co.uk.
Hello, this is Fred Morrison, and you're listening to the Big Rab Show.
And we're back. Time for topic of the week. Now, I know we've avoided the topic of the actual music to this point, so we're about to get into it. And we're going to start with our drum majors. And I don't know if all of our predictions were wrong in this. I know some of mine were wrong, definitely. But, some of us might be on the money here. But we're going to get into it. We'll talk about the actual result and then what our predictions had to say. But, yes, for those of you wondering, where is JD? JD Ingram did join us for our prediction pod, but unfortunately is unable to join us for this one due to work commitments, unfortunately. So, hi, JD. How you going? Hope you're recording those weekly drones for me, mate. He's a busy man. But yes, he did send us in some voice notes, giving his comments on every grade at the World Championships. And he did give us his thoughts on some drum majors. So let's get his thoughts on the drum majoring then.
Man, what a worlds that was. Looking back at the famous spreadsheet and seeing who I had picked and who I mentioned on the podcast last week, I did poorly. I hope nobody bet anything based on my picks. In fact, I'm glad that I didn't place any bets. Usually I bet a bottle of scotch and did not this year, thankfully.
Good.
A couple saving graces. The drum major competition, I had most of the right names in entirely the wrong order. So, I don't know anything about drum majors. But props to Louise for her number 2 finish. I had you picked for number 1.
Yeah. When we're talking about the juveniles, yes, I think I had Louise Smighton picked for number 1. But shit, in the prizes, finished runner-up for sure. And the winner on the day, Ben Dixon. So Scott, the Oracle, of course. Hold on. There we go. I mentioned the Oracle, and here come the angels. Scott, how did your prediction work out then for the juvenile final? Did you have Ben Dixon pegged?
I didn't have Ben Dixon, but the person I had Louise down to win, and obviously Catherine Spears, Cars, and then Grace Surplus as a dark horse. And funny enough, in the order I read them out there, they finished 2nd, 6th, 3rd, and 5th.
There you are, all in the prizes.
Too far away.
There you go. Yeah, that's pretty much the same for mine as well. My shouts, that they were all in the prizes, just in different order. Yeah.
as you had said in the first podcast, just because we didn't read you out didn't mean you weren't going to win it. It was just
absolutely
our own opinions. So full congratulations to Ben Dixon at Drumlock for lifting the title.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I have seen videos and that of the run, and it was absolutely cracking. So well done, Ben, for sure. Stuart, what about your predictions, mate? How did you get on?
Yeah, Louise, I predicted, but she came second, so
yeah,
well done. Everything else is just in some sort of order.
Yeah, same as myself and Scott and JD. Yeah. So Adrian, come on, we have to talk about it. Louise lifting that trophy in second spot. She seems so chuffed, man, and I'm sure you are all proud as punch. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Tough conditions with the heat and the sun and everything too, but very, very proud of her. Very pleased with her run on Saturday. So
yeah,
very tight now. Whenever you watch them, there's maybe 3 there. You would have said it was between. So
yeah, it seemed to be a very challenging day. If anything, that grade's been challenging. Full stop, Adrian.
It's been all year. Very tight all season. So in his last couple of years, it's been a very tight grade.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't know, to come in those prizes at all, you deserve a pat in the back right there. But for all of you in there, in that grade, don't be downhearted. If anything, this is the start of things to come, Your position now will not be the position next year. I can guarantee it. Yeah, so best of luck next season if you are going to be stepping out again with the mace. But, hey, full congratulations to Ben Dixon, of course, our world champion. Well done. Moving on to our juniors then. So, how did we fare with our results for our juniors, folks? I'm going to throw it to the Oracle again. How did you fare out with your own predictions there, mate?
I done very good. I had predicted Lydia Todd.
Yes.
My dark horses were Georgia and Holly. So they were 2nd and 4th, and obviously Lydia lifted it. And it was nice. They showed her celebrating, and then it had cut to the bands, and you just seen everybody hugging her dad in McNeilstown.
Oh, yeah. The whole back line seemed to be giving Jason a massive hug. It was brilliant to see. Yeah.
But it's just Jews. Like, she's had a really, really great season, and hopefully it continues in the next season.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And also, shout out to Georgia Turkington as well, who's also had a fantastic season too, And Maya Lily Fraser, Holly Gracie, Harry Couples, everybody that we mentioned on last week's pod, all of that grade again, all on their day, flip a coin and they could absolutely win it. It's crazy. So, Adrian, what are your thoughts as well on that grade? I'm sure did you mention Lydia as being possibly in the top spot?
I had Lydia as one with Lydia, between Lydia and Georgia, and then the dark horse was Willow Rose and Harry.
Yes.
So again, in the prizes, but not the right order maybe for some of them.
Yeah, that's kind of the same as me. Yeah,
a great season for Lydia now. Very strong this season, so
absolutely, yeah. So, Stuart, what are your thoughts then on our juniors?
Yeah, Georgia and Willow Rose. So, what was it? Second for Georgia, and Willow Rose was 6th.
6th overall.
Did I get that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
you were kind of in and around the shout then. I would argue. You're not altogether wrong. you know.
No.
So we're not going to count that as a complete fail. Yeah, but that's brilliant. But fair play to Lydia, you know, and lifting the champion of champions as well. You know, it's just been a stellar season for Lydia, and so full congratulations. And of course to Jason as well. He seemed to be so proud. The whole family, in fact. We met up with them briefly afterwards. And they were just kind of walking through the hotel bar, and they were sort of mobbed by everybody. And they're like, oh my word, all hugging and snapping photos. It was very cool to see. Yeah, very cool moment. So shout out to Lydia, world champion. There you are. Not bad. All right. Okay. How to talk about Jamie. Jamie Couples, world champion. Wow, what a result, and what a moment for Jamie, who, now I'm going to throw myself under the bus here, but when Jamie went up for his trophy, right, the big mace and everything that's about 10 foot tall, Jamie looked to be in total shock. Like, he didn't realize it was actually happening. It's like he was in almost a dream state. Now, we've shared out the results, of course, that they were uploaded online, and we've shared those out, and you can relive that moment again when Jamie's name gets read out as adult world champion. You could see him; he's kind of like walking in a daze. Is it me? Is someone going to stop me from walking up here and lifting this thing? It was really strange. But then once he had that mace in his hand and he got the photograph took, I think that's when it hit him, because it was like a sudden realization going, oh my God, I've done it. What a moment. And yeah, for me, my predictions, I had Gib Fraser. Like, Gib still was in the prizes. You know, I wasn't completely wrong. But, Oracle, who did you have for your prediction for our adult drum majors?
I might have given somebody the kiss of death as they didn't make the final. It was Rowan Murdoch. But hopefully it hasn't put her off, because obviously it's like any of the drum majors grades, there's not much in it. So hopefully she gets into the final next year. My other two had picked as dark horses was Caffrey Hunter and Cara Gilmore, which was obviously second and third.
Yes, there you go. Oh, here. So the Oracle got one wrong. Oh, no, Oracle, what are you doing to us, mate? All right. Stuart, what about your predictions, man? How did they fare out?
I had Gib Fraser for the win, Liam Renton and Emma. So I've gone 6-5-4.
There you go. Yeah. But that's not bad even. You know what I'm... Yeah, they're still in the ballpark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Adrian, what about you, mate? How did you fare out?
I hadn't picked the winner.
No.
But watching the two finals now, watching Jamie and Louis.
Yeah, you were down there, weren't you?
I had it between the two of them at the end of the runs, to be honest.
I see.
Whenever I got watching them in their finals, it was between the two of them.
I see. Just a really sharp run from each. Yeah. There you go. Do you know what? Those videos are now up there now on our YouTube channel. Now, full disclosure, I haven't actually watched them yet, so that's on me. But I am going to make a point to go back and watch those. But I did watch the prize giving, and that's the impression I got from poor Jamie, who did seem to be like a rabbit in the headlights up there going, is this real? Is someone going to stop me? But do you know something that's quite cool, actually? This is a story outside of the World Championships, is that Jamie Couples is actually drum majoring at the Edinburgh Tattoo at the minute. So he's there marching up and down the Esplanade, and he got a couple of days off, I think, for the Worlds. So went to Glasgow, competed, lifted it, obviously, as we're talking about now. So, and now I believe he's going to be a world champion drum major at the Edinburgh Tattoo. Now, whether he'll be allowed to actually use the big mace that he won or not, don't know. Or even, will they even mention it, that he's a world champion? No idea. But still very cool to be able to return to Edinburgh as a world champion drum major. That's awesome.
A cool post ad to yours, Rob, was one that Jamie had put up himself, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie's managed to lift the drum major world title in every category.
He has.
Yeah, every grade.
That's right. Which is quite a tenure. You know, there's not many drum majors out there that can claim that, for sure. Jamie has had a long career in drum majoring, but yeah, definitely an accomplished one, for sure. So we'll give him a round of applause. Oh, hold on, I have a sound effect machine. There we go. Well done, Jamie. Fantastic. All right, now we're going to move on to our bands now, and we're going to start with Novice Juvenile B. Now, this brings us on to the topic which I think we need to dedicate a full show to. We can't talk about this without getting into all of it, the World Youth Championships, that's a full topic in itself. The Friday that was dedicated to all of the kids, that's a whole new subject area, and we will be talking all about that and how it will develop in future. Whether you thought it was a success or not, that's another story. How it will develop in future for future events, no idea. But let's talk about the results. Did anybody have these guys pegged as winners? The St. John's College, Harare from Zimbabwe. Did anybody have them in their predictions?
Dark horse.
You did, didn't you?
Yeah.
I thought someone shouted them out. I wasn't sure who. Yeah, so you had them as a dark horse then.
Them as a dark horse and Scots College number 2 as the winner. So I just got them the wrong way around. And as for the drumming, failed miserably.
Oh no!
So
who did you have for drumming?
I had Kintyre Schools, and unlucky for them, they had finished 11th in drumming overall.
I see.
But obviously, most of them grades, they had still made it to the final.
Well, there you go. Exactly. Even punching through to that final stage is a big deal. Absolutely. So I know for my own predictions, I had Open High School as my potential winner, but they were still in the prizes, so I wasn't completely wrong. I think they finished 5th in ensemble preference on the day. But yeah, Scots College number 2, who finished in the runner-up spot. Yeah, it was also my pick as well. Stuart, how did your predictions fare out for Novice B?
Scots College is my dark horse, so they finished 2nd. My other 2 was Oban and Lochgelly, so they finished 5th and 4th in the drumming. I had Oban for the drumming, but failed on that.
Yeah, Oban High School, I think, finished 2nd in drumming overall. I think, looking at the summary sheets. So, yeah, it was a close run thing. So, Adrian, what about yourself, mate? What were your predictions for Novice B?
I had Lochgelly and Oban, and again at Oban for the drums. So
there you are. So, I don't know. I'm going to say it, but our Oracle was the only one here that mentioned the St. John's College, Harare, Zimbabwe. Fantastic. You're living up to your nickname, mate. There you go. All right, let's move on. Novice B, and let's move on to Novice A then. All right, winners on the day, of course. World champions, West Lothian Schools. Now, I did have them potentially picked, so I can be very, very, smug and say, yay, I did it. Scott, what about you, mate? Who did you have picked for Novice A?
I done very bad in this grade.
Oh, no.
My 2 picks, I had Oban to win it, and St. Columba's School. You try and pronounce the last part for me.
St. Columba's School, Kilmacombe.
Yeah.
There you are.
The only bit I managed to get right in that grade was George Watson's. Apologies for the drum corps.
For lifting the drumming, then, yeah. I'm going to have to give you one of these then. Sorry, mate. Adrian, what about yours? How did you fare out in Novice A?
Well, I had Lochgelly or West Lothian to lift it.
See, there you go. So you actually predicted it then.
George Watson for the drums.
There you are. Hey. I'll start calling us the new Oracle now. There you go. Stuart, what about you, mate? How'd your predictions fare?
Not too good. Dollar, George Watson's and Preston's Lodge, and I had George Watson's for the drumming. So Preston's Lodge kind of didn't fare too well on the day, but there you go.
No, that's it. But again, as we were saying, like the competition was really quite stiff in there as well. We mentioned that in our prediction pod. That Novice A is kind of a very tight grade. Whenever you look at the summary sheets and you look at the way the judges place people, it's very much a mixed bag in there. Like, for example, the piping judges seem to have quite a number of arguments in there, For example, Lochgelly High School, one piping judge had them 9th and the other piping judge had them 3rd, It's just that the scoring was all over the place, I think. And that's, whenever bands don't make it easy for judges, that's when I believe you start to see that. So that was an interesting grade there, an interesting fight. So well done, of course, to West Lothian Schools and to all of our world champions in that Novice A and B. Yeah, good stuff. Moving on to our juvenile grade, or as I like to call it, grade 1B. These bands are just ridiculous how good they are. Yeah. And of course, did anybody have George Watson's picked for world champ?
Yep.
Yep, I think we all did, didn't we? We all agreed on that one. Yeah, George Watson's lifted the big one. Well done, world champion. And they also, interestingly, they split the piping, however, with the runner-up, with Dollar. Yeah, they got a 1-2, and Dollar got a 2-1. And quite a split battle there. So it seemed to be the drumming and ensemble was the difference in first and second there. Yeah. So, yeah. Did anybody else have any other predictions in there that came about?
Dollar is the dark horse, and George Watson is the drum corps.
There you go. Yeah. I had my dark horse is PL in there, of course, and they were in the prizes too. So, I don't know, just a very, very hard-fought grade. But I think all of our predictions kind of agreed on that one, in the juvenile grade, you know? Yeah. So, there you are. Quite a hard-fought grade by everyone. Well done to everyone. Let's move on to grade 4B. Now, JD didn't give us any commentary on those novice grades, unfortunately. But we will move on to grade 4B. So, let's hear what JD had to say about grade 4B.
The grade 4B results. Carrigaline, good on ya. That is one that I did get right. So, you heard it here first. I called it. But, everything else, City of Plymouth really snuck up out of nowhere. City Discovery, didn't even have either of those bands in my top 6. Good job to both of them making 5th and 6th place. And Letterkenny. Letterkenny's one that I had considered, and I think I had them as 6th, so props on the 2nd place finish. Good work.
Indeed, yeah. Shout out to Letterkenny. So runner-up, but of course, Carrigaline, who I think were just more than a little happy to lift that top spot. Cheapers, I think they were still cheering when Inverary was marching off. You know, they were still going. But hey, full credit to them. With 2 first in piping, 1st in drumming, 2nd in ensemble, however. But hey, that pulled them into the top spot. Well done to Carrigaline. Did anybody else have Carrigaline as winners for grade 4B? Oracle, did you have them?
I had them to win and pick up the drumming.
He done it again, folks. He done it again. Yeah, there you go.
I seen Dave get a grade completely wrong and then redeem myself with another one.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you're back again, Oracle. Welcome back. Yeah. Adrian, what about yourself, mate? How did your predictions fare out?
Yeah, I'd Carrigaline for the win, but at Queen Elizabeth for the drumming.
See, they came close though. They came
second in drumming.
They had a second in drumming. Yeah, they were just knocking on that door. I heard the run from Queen Elizabeth in 4B, and it was a cracker. Yeah, I can see why the ensemble judge placed them first, an ensemble, because I really, really enjoyed their performance. Stuart, what about your predictions, mate? How did you fare out?
Unfortunately, grade 4B mine were a bit of a disaster. Crazily for the drumming, but they ended up in a 4th. And my dark horse, our own grade 4B Uddingston, just missed out on a top 6. They came 7th.
Yeah. There you go. Well, I'm going to have to give you one of these. There you go.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. We're going to talk about our own band for a little second. We're going to be biased here. Yeah, this was my first ever Worlds as a bagpiper. Some people don't know that. Yeah, but first ever as a piper. So, hey, having cracked through into that final was as good as a win right there. Genuinely, the band were so chuffed. We're on an absolute high, as was myself, of course. It was just brilliant. Adrian, tell us about your thoughts about Tullylagan cracking through into that final.
Couldn't believe it. Whenever finally seen results and all from the qualifying to see where we placed,
yeah,
we got a 4-4-2-4.
Mm-hmm.
Second in drumming in our heat.
Yeah.
With such a young drum corps. Unbelievable.
That's it. And even with a prior run-in with security.
Yes.
Ahead of that.
And then with the final, finishing 9th and getting 5th in drumming in the final.
Yeah.
It's been a great experience this year for us now.
It's a great weekend's work for sure, and that's what I want to put across here. All those 12 bands in that final. If you made it through into that final grouping, now I know we're talking 4B here, but every grouping for that matter, if you made it into that final, that's a great result, and well done to everyone there. But yeah, I do take what JD said about the City of Plymouth pipe bands. I didn't know much about them, of course. I did record a previous thing, which will be released later on the Big Rab Show on Meet the Band, where I did meet the folks there at the City of Plymouth Pipe Band. And such a great bunch of folks, and played a really good tune too. And hey, they were so chuffed to be in the prizes. It was brilliant to see. So yeah, also shout out to my prediction, which I got wrong, of course. I predicted that y'all were going to win. They ended up 4th overall, though. It was still quite a strong performance, though, with a 3rd in drumming. Yeah. So, I don't know, I had an extremely competitive grade in there in 4B. Well done to everyone. I know we took a bit of time there to be biased and talk about the lagging. Go on, the lagging. Woohoo! Yeah. Great experience, and you will hear about my experience on the on-the-ground reports. Yeah. And full disclosure, I did not play in the final. Dun, dun, dun. No, and there is a story behind that, but you'll hear that on our on-the-ground report. Yeah, so that's to come in a future episode of the show. But I did play in the qualifying. I did. Played the qualifying in the morning after the battle with the security guys. But you'll hear all that in our World Championship on-the-ground report. There you are. That's it for 4B, but well done to Carrigaline, who really did thump a big tune. If you haven't seen their run in the final, actually, go and check it out. There's recordings of it available. Go and have a watch at it. All right. We're about to get into Grade 4A now, and in case you've been living under a stone, you know exactly who's won. But let's first of all hear from JD. What his thoughts are on 4A.
Grade 4A. I kept hearing the announcer say ensemble preference. That is an insanely tight finish. Props to Black Raven. Definitely called that one, but everybody else sounds like it was nearly a 7 or 8 way tie. Really, really tight finish.
Yeah.
So cheers to all the prize winners there. New Ross, Alt Neve. Good work, guys. I'll be looking anxiously for some videos coming out there.
There you are. And at the point of recording, there wasn't any, but now there is. There's tons. There's loads everywhere. But yeah, I think that was one of the big things that came across from 4A. Was all of the placings were all an ensemble preference after first. Did you guys notice this? Adrian, did you spot it?
Yeah. I happened to see that. It was 2nd, 3rd, 4th, all ensemble preference.
There you are. Yeah.
That's how tight it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I think we did, most of us have Black Raven pegged as the winner in our predictions, didn't we? I think we did. Yeah. No, Scott's shaking his head. No, what happened, Oracle? Who did you have?
This is the one time where I actually did get feedback, for being called the Oracle. Friend of mine, Rob Smith, plays the bass drum in City of Brecon, and he says to me, the son phoned me last night, this was the Saturday, chat to him, he says, did you hear your friend Scott? He's give us the kiss of death for Govan Community. And then at this point, they just found out the qualified, so he says, I'm away to tell him to calm down, and lucky enough, they were still in the prizes, they finished top 6.
There you go. But still in the prizes, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But apparently I give them the kiss of death.
There you go. But hey, see, looking at this, whenever you look at the actual full summary sheets and see how all these bands placed and that it was mostly on ensemble preference, those top 4 spots, that tells you just how close that grade is. JD's right. That's, yeah, good luck to everyone who's going to be competing in that. That was nuts. Yeah. Stuart, how did your predictions fare out, mate? I think you had Black Raven as well, didn't you? But any of your dark horses place?
Unfortunately, no. I had Vale Athol, but they didn't qualify. So, and I'd Govan, they were placed 6, so wasn't far away.
Not too far away. There you go. Adrian, what about yourself, mate?
Yeah, I had Black Raven for the win and for the drum corps.
There you go. Yeah.
But then also had a Govan Community and Tightful was the dark horse. So
there you are. Yeah, and again in the placings. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So we're not altogether wrong. We're close. We're close. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll crack on with Grade 3B then at this point, and as always, we'll lead with JD. So, JD, what are your thoughts then on Grade 3B?
3B. My Carnegie Mellon pick didn't pan out, but 5th place sounds like a tie for 4th and 5th by ensemble. That's pretty good for the World Championships. I had Scottish Borders was in my top 6. Elgin and District was in my top 6. Surla and District was in my top 6. So all of those bands, good work. The big surprise for me was Kilbarkin definitely overperforming and making that 6th place spot. So good work.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I think those bands that he mentioned, I had those on my list as well. I had on my list potential winners being Surla and District were my pick. But also I had my second pick, which was Elgin. So I knew it was going to kind of be a 2-horse race for this one. Both bands have been singing this season, you know. So, hi, shout out to our world champions, Elgin and District. 2 firsts in piping, first in ensemble, however, a 2nd in drumming, with the drumming title going to our runner-up then in Surla. Definitely seemed to be a hard-fought grade, that one. And, there was other bands in there. Like, he mentioned there Carnegie Mellon and Scottish Borders. Yeah, Scottish Borders got 4th on ensemble preference, so it did seem to be kind of a 2-way tie split with ensemble there. Yeah, he is on the money there. But this grade in grade 3B was a difficult one. It was a big fight for everyone involved here. So, Adrian, I'm going to throw it to you first of all. How did your predictions fare out for grade 3B?
I had Surland District and Scottish Borders.
Right,
and then Surland for the drumming.
Yep, there we go. Kind of something similar to myself then. Yeah, there you go. Stuart, sorry.
Again there, Drumlock, great result for them in 3rd.
Oh, smashing result. And I think the celebrations are still going today. So they are. And hey, if you've been following Drumlock Pipe Band on their TikTok account, I know some of us here do actually use TikTok. Drumlock's TikTok is something else, especially over the course of the Worlds. If you haven't been following them on there, go and have a look at it. Stuart, I don't know if you follow Drumlock on TikTok, but have you seen the one that they done with the sparring? Do you know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was quite a cool idea.
Isn't
yeah,
that
it came across
brilliant?
really well. Yeah.
Well, so for people who don't know what I'm talking about, go and check it out. Go and have a look at Drumlock Pipe Band on TikTok, and you can laugh your head off at that one. That was hilarious. So how did your predictions fare out then, Stuart, for 3B?
I had Sailor for the win and for the drumming, and had Upper Cross Gar as my dark horse. I think they finished 9th.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Again, another pretty big battle in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still finishing top 10 for Upper Cross Gar, so not bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott, what about you, buddy? How did your Oracle predictions fare out?
I had Surla for the win and obviously finished 2nd, and I had them for the drumming, so we got that. But
yeah,
I was a bit like JD. I'd give the 2 American bands I mentioned as dark horses, Carnegie Mellon and Prince Charles, which both respectively placed 5th and 8th.
There you go. Yeah. You know, for us, I don't know, this is an argument I made. There's a lot of bands that we don't get a chance to see on the regular, and this is an example of that. Grade 3B, you know, like Carnegie Mellon, Prince Charles, and even is it Avon and District? I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. That band from France. You know, these are bands that we don't get to see regularly, so it's hard to judge where they're going to fall in the pecking order. So that's a prime example of that right there in 3B. You know, and it has happened to us in other grades as well, and we'll talk about that in a minute or two. When you don't get to see bands on the regular, it's difficult to include them in our predictions list. So, hey, you know, if we did happen to miss your band's name, we've mentioned it before. Didn't mean I didn't think you were in with a shout. But there you go. Congratulations to Elgin and District, who I thought were more than a little happy. The roar that went up, and I think some of them are still looking for their Glengarrys even today. Yeah. Big moment for the band. I'm so chuffed for them all. It was brilliant. All right, we'll move on to grade 3A then. Now, this grade was so difficult for me personally to try and pick a winner. It was nuts. But let's hear from JD first of all and his thoughts on what he thought of grade 3A.
3A, terrible picks. This is probably my worst set of picks. I think my top 5 did not make the top 6.
Oh, dear.
Which is insane. I think I did mention the Ron Said More. I don't remember which Big Ad band I mentioned. I might have mentioned Big Ad Brige, but
I think it might have been. Yeah,
definitely knew that one of those French bands was going to surprise us all. So cheers to Ron Said More for your first place finish. And Dunbar, Major Sinclair Memorial, City of London, all of you guys. I definitely underestimated you.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of us eating humble pie with this one in 3A. There was a lot of bands that really jumped out and surprised us all. Adrian, I'll throw to you first of all, mate. Who were your predictions then for 3A? Who did you have?
Well, I had Taxo, Bayside Caledonia,
That was the
or
same.
Major Clare.
Yeah, I was exact same. Both bands. Yeah.
And then my drumming was McNeil's Time.
Yes, I had those as well. Yeah. Scott, what about you, mate? Who was your predictions?
Closest I got was a dark horse with Major Sinclair with 4th.
Yeah.
I had Taxo to win it, obviously finishing 8th, but still managing to lift the champions of champions. And then, unfortunately, for my drumming and my other dark horse, Will Livingston Caledonia, I failed miserably.
Oh, no. Am I going to have to give you one of these?
Yep,
there you go. Oh, no. But grade 3A, Stuart, I'm going to come to yourself in a minute or two, but yeah, 3A was just insane. All right. Now, I've heard the run now from Ron Sedmore because I was curious. I didn't actually get to see them on the day, unfortunately. But when you look at the summary sheets and how it fell for the final, 2 firsts in piping, first in ensemble, they were definitely singing. However, their drumming was 7th on the day. Like, this kind of raised a few eyebrows, placing 7th in drumming, but first in ensemble. Again, we speak about these kind of things on the pod with other majors, and this was an example of that. Yeah. The Dunbar, RBL, 4s right across the board, but mathematically that made them 2nd. Yeah, that can happen. It all goes on the total. Like, I know I had people asking me, how can you place 4th in everything and come 2nd? It's based on the mathematics of it all. Yeah. And yeah, another band, I don't know, I'm going to have to mention, but Burnt Island in District in 3rd place with a 2nd in piping, 7th in piping, like a big difference there, 5 different places between the 2 piping judges, 2nd and 7th. First in drumming, however, so world champion drum corps, but an 8th in ensemble, like well down the pecking order there. So just a very mixed bag. Adrian, am I even going to mention about our pick about Major Sinclair and the differences of prizes there awarded by the judges?
Yeah, I've seen that on the 2 piping judges.
Yeah, like it was a big difference. One piping judge placed them 10th on the day, while the other placed them 2nd. Now, I don't know. We weren't in there with a clipboard. There's that old disclaimer, We didn't hear what that judge heard. So, we don't know. But mathematically, that was them in 4th spot as a result. A very interesting grade. I'm very curious now to go and have a listen to the rest of these runs. I only heard the Ron Said More. I had a little bit of Dunbar. I'm curious now to have a listen to the rest and be my own armchair judge. But, yeah, an interesting one. I'm sure one that people will be talking about for a while. Stuart, going to throw it to yourself now, mate. Your experience, 3A.
It was tough. It was a tough grade. My dark horse Dunbar was 2nd, Texo 8th, Canterbury Caledonia was 7th, and our own band Uddingston is a dark horse. We missed out by 2 points, I believe, for the qualifier. So unfortunately, we didn't qualify.
I was just about to say that was a pretty tight group that you were in.
Yeah,
a lot of very competitive bands in there. Yeah,
it was tough group to get out of. So well done to all the bands that did.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. But what is the feeling in the band at the minute? That like sometimes when this happens, it's quite a difficult pill to swallow, that one. But what was the feeling in the park in the band?
Yeah, it's a difficult pill to swallow. However, we came off that park and we were like, do you know what? We left it on that grass. Mm-hmm. We played our hearts out, and everybody that came off the park was like, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, but give the best effort, kind of. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it wasn't. So
that's
next year,
that's bands. That's it, and that's what we've said before. Like making it through that group stage is a massive milestone. And there's so many bands that don't actually make it through to the second stage. But that's not to say that that's a total defeat. If anything, it gives you something to build on for next season, doesn't it, Stuart?
Yeah, that's it. We're looking at changing a few tunes, which I think we'll get next week, maybe.
Oh, wow.
So
as quick as that.
Yeah. So
I did hear some conversations of some bands that didn't make it through to the final, and they were already picking out next year's medley in the beer tent that evening. Oh, we're changing that opening march. I never liked that tune, and we're changing the reel as well. All these conversations, loved all that. You're making decisions.
I heard a few comments during the finale and all too. One saying, about maybe bands that had won or done powerful well in the Europeans a week before and not qualifying at the weekend there. So
yeah, it can happen. It can happen, absolutely. And as much as we try to predict it, Scott said it himself, it's the kiss of death sometimes. We say, oh, this band's definitely going to win. And then, it can be the complete opposite. You just don't know because it's all on the day, Well, grade 3A, such a difficult grade, but well done to everyone there, I have to say. So, and of course, the Uddingston Strathclyde, of course, we'll be shouting for you next season. And we're looking forward to hearing the new music, Stuart. Yes. Absolutely. All right. So let's move on to grade 2. Now, we're not going to get lost in the weeds here between the two different runs because this was a different dynamic. Grade 2 had their medley run and their MSR run to do. Both runs on the day counted towards their final score. And as you know, Glasgow Sky lifted the big one in grade 2 in the ridiculous grade. And a lot of people were laughing at me for calling it that. Yeah, but it's genuine. It's true. It is ridiculous. So, JD, what are your thoughts on the ridiculous grade, first of all, mate?
Looking up at grade 2, I had meant to mention City of Dunedin on the podcast, and I believe I forgot it last week. So
we can't give them that, can we?
Glad to see that my local Southeast regional powerhouse is still in sharp form, taking a second place in grade 2. Ulster Scottish, I had pulled you guys out for a first place, but third is still a strong finish. Glasgow Sky, I had fourth, it looks like, on the spreadsheet, so overperforming a little bit and getting first place. Good work. And then Big Rab Show again, another one of those French bands surprising us all with a 6th place finish. So good work there.
There you go. Yeah, so that was JD's thoughts. I don't think we can give him that. I forgot to mention I forgot to mention. No, sorry, JD. I have to give you one of these. No. But fair play to, I did certainly not mention this band because I haven't heard them too much this season, the City of Dunedin. But finishing in that runner-up spot, that's not too shabby. Managed to listen to them on the park, actually, and they drew quite a crowd. I didn't really get very close to them. There's a lot of people interested in the City of Dunedin, blowing a big tone. Did anybody else get a chance to hear the City of Dunedin? Scott, did you hear them? Well, obviously you were working with the Lagan, weren't you?
I didn't get seeing too many bands in our grade just due to tuning up and playing myself. Closest I got to hearing bands was Manor tuning up just as we were getting ready to go on because they were on after us, and LA Scots before us, and maybe Ulster Scottish up the top of the park before we moved up a bit. Just bits like that, but not enough to give me an inkling of any band, just wee snippets here and there.
I see. And maybe that's for the better too if you're going to be competing against them. You don't want that in the back of your head. Yeah. Adrian, did you get a chance to hear any other bands here in grade 2? Like the City of Dunedin?
Again, our two performances were similar times.
They were. Yeah, that's true. We were competing at the final, actually, when they were going on for their medley. Yeah. That's it. So, no, difficult to hear grade 2. Stuart, what about you, mate? Did you get a chance to listen to any?
I briefly heard the Ulster Scots drum corps and tuning up, and they're a very interesting dynamic on the bass drum and the tenor section, and it actually caught me. I was like, that sounds really good. That sounds really nice. Yeah, an interesting dynamic that they were playing.
Yeah,
like a heartbeat type thing. It was really nice. Yeah,
I like that. There you go.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I haven't heard any of the runs from Ulster Scottish yet, but I did catch them in the tuning park. And again, similar to the City of Dunedin, the crowd that was around them was nothing ordinary, So I kind of gauged that if there's a massive crowd there, something's going right, and then everyone flies, I want to hear that. And they all go over to have a listen. So, I think it was going by crowd levels. City of Dunedin and Ulster Scottish had massive crowds with them. Yeah. Now, a band that we didn't mention in our prediction podcast, and we got a few notes about it as well, full disclosure. We have to give a shout out this week to North Stratton and those signature yellow drums of theirs. Yes. I think we did mention them. We give them a bit of a shout out as a band to watch. but we didn't have them pegged as being a possible winner. So that's on us. They're in the prizes there, 4th place. What a result for North Stratton. But, right, I'm going to mention it. Uddingston, lifting the drumming. What a moment. I think that band are still cheering today. If anything, I'm not going to mention names, but I do know people who are still on the pints at this point of us recording this. This is the Tuesday after the Worlds, and there's people still celebrating in Uddingston, so fair play. Good luck to them too. I don't know. I've had one evening on the pints and I'm broke for a week. Yeah. But did anyone get to hear Uddingston's drum corps at all over the course of the week? No. I think all shaking their heads. Yeah. Unfortunately, because of us all being competing at the time, Grade 2 seemed to be running at the same time as everything else. So it was quite challenging to be able to hear some of it. Now, for those of you interested, you can go and catch some of those runs. We do have some of the videos up there now on the Rab Show YouTube channel. We also have quite an awesome video of Glasgow Sky marching off as world champions. And I don't know, you can't watch that and not feel slightly emotional because they're all crying and hugging each other. And oh my God, it's amazing. Such a great video. So go and have a watch of that. Shout out to the Glasgow Sky. Yeah, fantastic result there. Yeah. Now, you might also hear little clips from these Grade 2 big guns in our Worlds on the Ground podcast, because I did get a chance to have a run around, frantically, but a run around, and we managed to record a few of those, so that'll be on that podcast. But well done, Glasgow Sky, world champions. Scott, sorry, man, you have to forgive me. I forgot to ask you your thoughts on Grade 2, of course. Yeah, being in that circle with Tullylagan, a very difficult weekend, I'm sure, and a mad grade. How did you find it?
You're okay. As a band, we're still trying to get our feet in Grade 2 as such. It's only our second season. But as I had said to you in the World's predictions, I felt the 2 runs was going to open the grade up a bit, and I feel it has.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
But it is very tiring, but it is helping bridge that gap between Grade 1 and 2 for the 2 grades for anybody that manages to go up. But I'd like to throw a shameless plug in there, if you don't mind.
Of course. Go for it.
Talking about some of the drum corps.
Yes.
Michael Eagle was floating about doing a couple of recordings for Ribbon Monster. So
he was.
For anybody that wants to see, I know there's the likes of Ulster Scottish and I think possibly Dunedin and a couple of different bands, Grade 2, as well as the big guns in Grade 1. Go on to Ribbon Monster on Facebook and different socials, and I know he's got recordings there from the green. So
shameless plug. Gotta love it.
Even ourselves.
I think that's the first one we got squeezed in this week. There you go. Yeah.
Is that because he got you too, Scott, is it?
Yeah, he managed to get us. But he has filmed our lead drummer previously when he was with Dowco and stuff. Dowco Tram Street and stuff. So but no, it was good grade.
It was.
So long, I hope they keep the format.
Very competitive grade is what I'm going to say. As much as we kind of wrapped it up brave and quick there with Grade 2, and we give a shout out to Glasgow Sky, I think everyone in that circle, I think someone, I can't remember their name now, but they did tell me they spent the day at Grade 2 based on what we said on our prediction pod, where we told them that if you sat at the Grade 2 arena, you'll be really thoroughly entertained all day. There's no bad bands in there. And it's very similar to Grade 1 in that regard. You're going to be pretty much entertained all day with amazing music in Grade 1. And it's the same thing in Grade 2. Like, there's no disappointing bands in there, Yeah. So whoever that was that took my advice, thank you. Yes, and that would be my advice for future World Championships or any majors for that matter. Go and sit at Grade 2. You'll enjoy it. You'll love it. It's such good music in there. But yeah, thank you, Scott. And apologies for kind of glossing over that. I just completely forgot about it. There we go. I forgot to ask Scott about what it was like in there. There you go. But, right, the big one, Grade 1. We made it, folks. We made it to the last grade. I know, this is a long podcast this week, but let's hear what JD had to say about Grade 1.
The Grade 1 results were a little better for my picks. I did have Inverary as my number 1 overall. I was really, really, really impressed watching the live stream of Manawatu. I saw some familiar faces over in St. Thomas and was really excited. I enjoyed their performance. I really enjoyed the John Stone performances. I really enjoyed the 78th performance. So, even though those bands didn't take top 6, great work to everybody. I actually was watching the live stream of the Worlds in the middle of a gig. So I was playing for an old folks home and then would go take a break and watch the Worlds on my phone. So busy life as a piper, but I really appreciated all the music that I saw on the live stream and on YouTube afterwards. And cheers to all the winners.
So, yeah, I think he's just kind of done a mic drop on us there. Yeah, I picked Inverary. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? But, yeah, what a moment. Inverary Industry. I think we all picked Inverary on this one, like we mentioned earlier. And but we knew it was kind of going to be a two-horse fight. But it wasn't really, was it? It wasn't altogether a two-horse fight, which, whenever you look at the summaries, makes for some interesting reading, doesn't it? Adrian, what are your thoughts on Grade 1?
Listening to some of the recordings and all, and from what other people had said, Inverary were just on fire all weekend.
They were, absolutely. Yeah, you can't take it away from them. They definitely were amazing. Yeah. That's it. And Stuart, what about yourself, mate? Have you any thoughts?
Yeah, the medley on the Saturday was just something else.
Yeah.
An incredible piece of music. And the medley, it was just incredible.
That's it. I think for those who watched the live stream and the commentary that came from Bob Worrell, he did say that he believes that that's the best medley he's ever heard. And I think he was bang on. I think genuinely that was one of the best medleys I have ever certainly heard. And not just from Inverary, but from any pipe band. It was a real moment in time. And I think people will now remember where they were when they heard it, you know? Like, we've heard that medley a few times now this season, but it just didn't have the same impact as what it did on the Saturday at the Worlds. That's the one we're talking about. Sorry, the Friday medley was brilliant too. But the Saturday medley was the one that had everyone talking in the park. They were like, oh my God. So, Scott, I'm going to throw it to you, mate, as much as we're gushing about Inverary here. But what was your thoughts on Grade 1?
I was the same. I've just seen videos, didn't get watching any in the day, but you touched on what Bob Worrell had said in the commentary, but another thing, I thought you were going to say it, but you didn't. As he said in the commentary, he says, thank you, Stuart, for that musical journey.
Yeah.
He didn't call it a medley or anything, he just said a musical journey, but I find there's not much between the bands at the top now, and it's all going that way. They're all finding their own wee niche to make it that bit different, and it's making that even bit harder to draw the line between them.
Oh, yeah,
So,
absolutely.
That, just the video of Stuart crying, the emotion, and it's just, I think it took everybody for 6.
Well, that's it. And I think that's the first I've ever seen that happen, where a pipe major would get so emotional about a set and would actually start crying during the last tune. That's bound to be difficult, to blow pipes in a Grade 1 ring and be that emotional. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
We're used to knowing now that if Stuart puts his feet over the top of each other and he's tapping, it means he's happy and he's in the flow.
Yeah.
But not seeing him with that much emotion.
No, that was completely a different side of Stuart Little that we seen at the weekend. It clearly meant a lot to him in that circle.
I think that's number 4 now, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go.
Also on the 20th anniversary.
That's a big moment, for sure. Yeah. After their celebrations earlier that week, you know, and then the preparations leading up to the Worlds, and then hearing them on the park themselves, the band was just clicking, you know, and I know for being in a band that has everything going, you know, you have us possibly talking about you on our prediction pod to say, oh, you're going to win. And then, you know, everyone around the scene saying, oh, your band's singing. And then to keep that maintained and to keep it moving is so difficult. You know, I have been in bands that have been odds-on favourite before to win the Worlds, and you can go in and play an absolute stinker. You can fall flat on your face. And it's happened to me many times. And I'm sure that all weighed on them, you know? I'm sure all of them had that in the back of their head going, we need to keep this moving. Difficult to do. And they all seem to really pull it out of the bag at the right time, you know? That extra little X factor, the band certainly had it that weekend, you know? So, yeah, full credit to Inverary. But also, I'm going to give full credit to the Field Marshal. Field Marshal Montgomery were another band that were just clicking. Now, I managed to get a good listen to them in final tuning on both days. And yeah, I don't know, man. I think my thoughts on Field Marshal is that they make it look easy. And that's what kind of makes me look at them in amazement, but also makes me hate them as well, because I know that it's not easy. You know what I mean? Like, they just effortlessly just blow this amazing big sound, and then like, it's just another day. No, it isn't. You can't just play like that and then say, it's just another day. Anyway, but FM are one of those bands. But also, shout out to Shots as well. He had a real blistering good weekend. I have to give them a shout out. With having the concert earlier that week as well, again, what I'm talking about maintaining that momentum, just incredibly difficult. Adrian, you were at the concert yourself, mate. What was your opinions of the Shots concert?
Loved it. Another great concert, so it was.
Yeah, really, really good. And full disclosure, we did actually get a little sneaky backstage access, didn't we, Stuart?
Yes, we did.
That was fun. Yeah. What was your experience at the concert hall, sneaking about with a camera?
It's quite cool, actually, and just to see how they put it all together. The stuff on the stage and the music as well. It's quite. It's nice to get that wee snippet just behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's it. Well, shout out to our Patreon faithful. You're going to see some of that backstagey stuff that Stuart managed to capture for us, and Adrian too. There's some little sneaky stuff from behind the scenes at the Shots concert. But yeah, what a weekend! And as we mentioned, it wasn't just a 2-horse race; it was nearly a 3-horse race. You know, Shots were nipping on the heels there too of both of those big shots for sure. Yeah. So, I don't know, any other thoughts on any of the remaining bands in our top 6? SFU, of course, Police Scotland Fife, who really played a blinder on the Saturday. Oh, my word. And, come on, People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate. What a run they had. Oh, my word. I don't know. Scott, I'm going to throw it to you, mate, for final thoughts on Grade 1. Any other shouts on Grade 1 that you enjoyed?
Grade 1, as you just mentioned, Shots. I hadn't picked them. Full kudos to them. It was good to see them back.
Yeah.
Back up there in the mix. One band that was in the mix just outside the prize, which I was glad to see, was the Two, Manawatu.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yes.
So it's always nice to see the visiting bands hold their own against the usual suspects. But
there you go.
The grade's getting more ridiculous every year.
It is.
It's hard to call, but between them and Fife Paulus, that was my 2 picks I was happy with.
There you go. Yeah. Adrian, what about you, mate? Any final thoughts on Grade 1?
Yeah, well, as even Scott said, the likes of Shots and all, well done to them, staying up there with them and getting them a push.
There you are. Yeah. Building for bigger things, potentially. You never know. You never know. Stuart, what about you, mate? Any other particular highlights?
I probably said this last year. I'm just looking forward to what the Grade 1s bring to us next year. I seen the Boghall drum corps, bit of backsticking bit in there, and playing on the different side of the drum. More innovation. It's just going to be another journey for next year.
Yeah, like what else are they going to come up with?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
That's it. So, I don't know. I have so many takeaways from Grade 1. I'm not going to spoil my on-the-ground report, but there was a few bands in there that really did surprise me on the day. I have to give a mention to Ravara, newly upgraded to Grade 1, and here they are, finishing in the top 10. Now, that is a fantastic result. For any band that's newly upgraded, that's a big jump from 2 to 1. You know, very challenging, but shout out to Ravara. What a great result. And also a band that really impressed me, it was the 78th Fraser Highlanders. They did place well down the pecking order, unfortunately. They finished 11th overall, but I thought they had a fantastic sound, you know, and are really starting to develop that voice now. You know, with the change of leadership last year and everything, it's just sort of finding their feet. But now I think they're really starting to come on and leaps and bounds. So, yeah, I don't know. Grade 1, you said it, Scott. It's getting more ridiculous every year now. And Stuart, you're right. What's to come next year? Goodness knows, you know. Will we ever see the flames coming out of the drones? Do you think they'll ever do that?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's, yeah, like we had St. Lawrence O'Toole this year playing with the butt of the stick and stuff, and we had chanter chokes, we had big harmonies. As you said, we had playing on the rims of drums and stuff, and backsticking, and all sorts of incredible bagpipe and fireworks that these guys make look easy, as I said earlier. God knows what next year brings. I don't know. But that could be another topic of the week right there, trying to predict what's going to happen. But, folks, I have to say a huge thank you for joining us on quite a lengthy podcast this week. But, yeah, we got through it. Big thanks to the Oracle. Thank you, Scott. And your predictions weren't far away, man. You know?
No, probably one of my better years. But it's always a pleasure to be asked to come along and get it right or entirely wrong.
There you go. But will you be back next year to grace us with your presence? Of course.
As long as I'm invited and I'm in a good health, I'll be here, no problem.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Well, Adrian, thanks a million. And please send our best to Louise as well. And what a cracking good result for her. Yeah, so... Yeah.
Problem, thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us. And Stuart as well, thank you, mate, for joining us. Give my best to the Uddy.
Yes, I will do.
Go on, the Uddy!
Go on, the Uddy!
There you go. And that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Thank you all for downloading this week. And each and every week, don't forget to tell your mates about our wee show, about what we're doing here, talking about what we know and love, the music of the great Highland Bagpipe and its people. And we will see you all next week for our World Championship on the Ground Report Day 1, which is all sorts of great crack. You hear me bumping into all sorts at that one. Anyway, that's it for another Rab Show pod. We'll see you all in the next one. All the best. Well, that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Thanks so much for downloading this week, and a special thank you to our sponsor, G1 Reeds. Played by bands around the world, they are the champion's choice. Check out g1reeds.com for all of your piping needs. Don't forget to check out thebigrabshow.com to be kept up to date with all of the latest news and views from around the piping world. And also, check us out on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can get your hands on tons of extra piping goodness and be a part of the Patreon faithful. So, until next week, folks, we'll see you right here on the Big Rab Show podcast. All the best.